What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Just the Ramblings podcast. I'm your host, Stefan, and it's a little bit of a change of pace for this episode. I know it's a little bit delayed. My best friend came up. He's in town now, and so we've just been hanging out and catching up, so sorry for that delay. But, yeah, and I know this episode, it was going to be the second part of my music journey, and just talking about, like, everything after I discovered Daft Punk and EDM and the like. But yeah, one day while we were hanging out, it wasn't too late, but I was getting ready for bed, catching up on my regular YouTube channels and everything like that. And then I saw a video by Meghan Batoon. So shout out to Meghan Batoon for the inspiration for this. I was gonna save it to like a later date and things like that, but like watching her video really like inspired me. Also having two wine coolers late at night. But yeah, the wine cooler I had was EYE-V if anybody's interested. Only try one at a time because it's insane. It's like 12% alcohol. But yeah, drink responsibly, people. But yeah, listening to her, I was about to say podcast, but listening to her talk on her YouTube channel about just really like the back end of like YouTube and like stardom, and how not everybody's like happy all the time, and like it's actually hard work, and just dealing with like real life things that we're going through now with like anxiety and like little touch on depression, but like just emotions, and how especially like social media and stuff nowadays, it's really it's one or the other. They either like make you feel like you need to be perfect all the time, or like you need to be like dolled up or like in the freshest gear, have the freshest sneakers and things like that, just perfect all the time. Or they kind of like play up like real life issues that people go through. I remember it really hit a certain crowd when Kanye West came out with his last quote unquote album, but yay, when he was talking about how his bipolar, him being bipolar, like that's his superpower. Like the community was divided on that. Half of the people were proud of him for taking what most people think as a negative and embracing it and like bringing light to it. Pardon me, I had like a coughing, sneezing spell just now. But yeah, half the community was divided and proud of him for embracing it, and the other half was really kind of fought back against the idea that it's like your superpower, and he's kind of romanticizing the difficulties that the average person goes through because he is a celebrity. He has the money to go and get like the best treatment, the best doctors and things like that, whereas somebody just in middle class or like lower, they don't get that special treatment that other people would. So damn coughing spell. I kind of forgot my train of thought there, but yeah, so that video really inspired me to just talk about what I really like started this podcast for. I remember the first episode, like I know we're only 3 episodes like in, but I've been trying to develop like the YouTube channel and like coming up with podcasts. I would legit sit with a notebook or like Word open, and then I'd write and I'd actually talk for like an hour about like things that I would say on a podcast, or things like topics I would like have and things like that. Just coming up with ideas for it. So like even though this is the 3rd episode, it isn't like just the 3rd idea I have on the top of my head. So yeah, over the last year, it's actually been a struggle. Even more so last couple of years. I've had a lot of like changes in my life. Pretty emotional time for me. And yeah, some people joke, and even I joke about it, like the quarter life crisis, like how people have midlife crises and stuff like that. But yeah, like it was a difficult time. I'm not one to really talk about my emotions and just kind of how I feel and things like that. I'm a pretty sarcastic person. I joke around. I thought of this the other day, but I said my first language is sarcasm and my second language is English. So, like, that you can see how I am. I'm a super sarcastic person. I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm just the funny one in the group because a lot of my friends are funny. but like I just hide behind humor and things like that, and I don't really talk about like serious emotional topics or like anything like that with a lot of people. Like I have my moments, um, yeah, every once in a while, like I'll have a serious conversation with like friends or like family, um, and on a very rare occasion I have broken down before. Of course, I'm only human, but yeah, and not even to just stem from like being a man and like men aren't supposed to have emotions and all that jazz. We're part of an era now where that's really changing, and even rappers are now famous for having emotions and like crying while rapping. Like, who are these new kids? Like Lil Uzi Vert, was it Trippy Red, XXX Tentacion. Probably said that wrong. It's better in Spanish when you roll your R's. But like Lil Peep, even though I never listened to Lil Peep like at all, so I can't really speak on him. I just know him, the whole emotional wave and changing music and being open and everything like that. Like that's coming out more, but still kind of like growing up, I was part of that. I don't want to say era, make myself seem like I'm super old or anything, but just that mentality of just you're a man, suck it up, like shove all your emotions deep down inside and then never deal with them. So yeah, I really wanted to like cut through and talk about that, so it's not just like a happy-go-lucky podcast like in general. Like dealing with serious topics, like I'm not a therapist, I'm not a doctor, um like I'm not a scientist, so like serious topics in general, you can kind of just take it as you will, and especially like something like this where it's 99% my feeling and then or not, let's just say 90% my feeling and 10% like things that I've researched or like people that I talk to and things like that, things of that nature. So yeah, getting a little serious today. I don't know how much I would cut in this. Of course I'm gonna edit this episode a little bit, but yeah, I don't want to get like insanely serious and like if I start crying on the track, like I may edit that out. Oh, I'm crying on the track. I'm not recording. I'm not recording a song, but yeah. So here we go. Um, yeah. A couple. Where do I? I even wrote this down. Like I have my like, not exactly script, but like a guideline whenever I do all these podcasts. If you hear like a click in the background, that's me going through with my mouse because it's like a page and a half now instead of the couple of bullet points that I usually have. But yeah. So 8 minutes into this, I'm finally getting to the meat and potatoes. Uh, I think, yeah, I used that in episode 1, so callback. Can even call it a callback, even though it's 3 episodes in. But yeah. So yeah. Before we actually start, like, in the topic itself, I just wanted to give a little bit of background of, like, myself and the way, like, I feel, call it I feel about the world. I don't know how to, like, describe it. It's just, some people say like your sixth sense, some people say your spirit, some people say just your emotions or anything like that. But the way I feel, like your gut feeling is always right, and for me, I've been pretty attuned with my like gut feelings, especially when it comes to dealing with other people. Like I usually, the like keyword or the buzzword that everybody uses now is like vibrations, with the universe, like put it out into the universe and like send those vibrations out and they'll ricochet and come back. But like that's a proper word for me when it comes to like people and kind of like experiences. Like I feel just people's like wave, their vibrations, their chi or ki, if you will. But like that's the way I feel in life. Like I try to go by that because it's usually led me in the proper way. Like I'm Roman Catholic, so I grew up in a Catholic home. I'm not. I should go to church more, as I say, but yeah, like I'm not the most religious person in the world. I've had my religious battles with everything. Still do. It's a daily thing. So I still have yet to finish the Bible, so I know I need to do that. But have no idea if the microphone picked that up, but like I talk with my hands and I just cracked my thumb knuckle. It was weird, but yeah, that's a side note. But yeah, that's just the background about things that I feel, and like my experiences come from that. So yeah, all right, heavy topic number one. I've dealt with depression for a long time. Oh gosh, where did it stem from? Uh, from the longest I can remember. But like depression and anxiety, I don't want to romanticize it at all. This is not a buzzword. This is not trying to like, oh, everybody pay attention to me and me and my problems type of thing. Because honestly, like I hate that. I hate it when you tell somebody something and they're, I mean, I get it, the sentiment, and like, oh, I'm sorry for you. I'm sorry you had to go through that. I'm sorry you had to deal with this. Life is literally all about experiences, and things like these, you, like me, I learned to like deal with it. I like tackling problems head on, especially when it comes to like, I've learned this over time too, especially because like I have been through therapy. Don't really go anymore, even though I should, but you know, insurance is expensive. So, yeah. But yeah, I've dealt with anxiety and depression for a long time. Everybody has like a sense of anxiety. Everybody gets sad and everything like that. But yeah, I have not been on medication for that. Thank God, I have not. Self-medicated, yes, but that's coming later on in this discussion, which isn't good. But yeah, I've dealt with that for, I want to say starting teenage years, just to like throw a pin at the board, but it's just been a reoccurring. I can't even think of the right word for this, because yes, I am still super nervous recording all of these, but yeah, it's just been a recurring thing that's happened in my life. It's something I live with literally on a daily basis. Some days it's almost not noticeable or like not even there. Some days I literally have to take hour by hour, minute by minute. But yeah. But this discussion, I didn't want to talk about my whole like high school trauma and all that jazz and everything. That's a later story for another date. I feel like everybody, even if you had a good high school experience, it's still high school. But yeah, me, I just really want to focus on the last. I wrote in my notes last year, but last couple of years in general. But yeah, my first job out of college, I worked retail my entire college career. But my first job, it was a corporate job. Not gonna name the company, but yeah, like had life experience. Going to work in a button up and slacks every day. It was an experience. But yeah, going with that, it was a thing, and then working, learning that corporate life, how it is, and everything like that. But really, where it shifted for me, I want to say almost like a year into it, but yeah, we'll just say like a year into it or so, because as you'll find out, it all blurs. Once you're an adult, every day is like the next, and then you realize, oh, it's Saturday or Sunday. So, yeah. So like a year into it ish, I was looking, like some of my friends, they were going for their masters. Some of our friends didn't even get a job after college. They're like becoming doctors and stuff. Like they were continuing their education straight afterwards. Me, I did not know exactly what I wanted to do. I have a couple of ideas. But like now I'm pursuing it, of course, but it all stems from the story. Like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I even know a friend, he didn't go to college directly after school, or directly after high school, excuse me. But and then he took some time off, and then he was back in college and things like that. And so I was really, like, I didn't really let it come totally to heart at that point, because I had a job. I was very fortunate. I have a job. Like I still live with my parents, so like I wasn't going crazy. I wasn't running out of money and needed to like get two extra jobs on the side to pay rent every month or anything like that. No, I was very fortunate, and I'm glad I was very fortunate. Very thankful to my parents in that aspect, or for that aspect rather. But a particular moment happened. I found out that my mother had cancer, and it's something I don't really even tell like my closest friends about. And my parents are divorced, so that was not really like they don't speak like at all. But that kind of like added to the anxiety aspect of it. But just not even holding on suspense. She's fine now. She's gonna be 2 years in remission. Like she's perfectly healthy now. But yeah, she's good now. Oh gosh, yeah. See, it's even hard for me to talk about it now because I really didn't talk about it. Um, but it's just something like I didn't talk about. Like I told at my job actually, I told my boss, of course when I found out, and she was like, you know what, if you need time, take your time. If anything happens, the usual stuff that your boss will tell you. But I mean, and then we actually transitioned. We split teams. And then I had to tell my second boss because literally it was just between me and my boss. And then I switched bosses, and then that changed. So, hold on. Now I got to pause it because I'm getting a call. Pause. All right, so I'm back. But, yeah, crap. Where was I? Yeah, so found out my mother was diagnosed with cancer. My parents are divorced, so, like, that was a whole nother thing. Told my first boss. And then split teams, and I told my second boss, same thing, if you need time or anything like that, take a day off, or like if I needed to leave the office for any reason, which happened like a couple times, but perfectly understood that. And so it was all good on that front. So me, of course, was not in therapy at that point. Most of my therapy actually happened in college, which was awesome. The college like provided it for you, and then I went from just one-on-one sessions to they actually had group sessions, which I feel like benefited me a lot more because it was kind of just it was one of those things where here's a question or like an event happens, and then it was a small group. It was like 4 of us, but like either an event happened or like the therapists, the doctors there, they would actually like give us a question and we'd talk about it in a group or like discuss like if it was like an event that pertained to one of us that we didn't bring up or that like we had written down or something like that. Like we would have a group discussion and like talk through the points and like our feelings and just like events that happen and all that jazz. Like I really loved the group sessions. Even though like the one-on-one sessions were pretty good. Kind of not with my second therapist, but whatever. But yeah, those group sessions I felt like especially really helped me out because it wasn't that intimidating, especially like you're a college student. Like I didn't dorm, but I like woke up in the morning, went to school, and then I had my friends, but it's kind of like it's the beginning of your adulthood and you realize that you start having to like fend for yourself, and then like everybody's busy, nobody's really like there for you. So it was that transitional period in life that really like spiked my anxiety, and that's when I like, oh man, I even broke up with my first girlfriend then. So like I lost 20 pounds. I like couldn't eat. Like I rarely slept. It was terrible. But then coming back to it for work, it was my first job, and then like I really didn't know what to do. Like when somebody in your life is very sick, and like whether it's cancer or anything like that, like it just very sick, and it's kind of happening, especially like it doesn't even have to be like your parents, it could be like your friend or anything like that. But like when somebody's very sick and you physically can't do anything, like it's not like, oh, like they have a cold, like let me go get them chicken noodle soup or something, or like, oh, they're just feeling down today, let me go get them like a cookie, or like we'll go over with some like wine and cheese and play Cards Against Humanity, or like watch a funny movie, and everything's okay. It's a process, and like dealing with that process, this was the first time in my life I had to deal with something like that. And quite frankly, I would never, ever, like, ever wish that on anybody. Um, like, relatively speaking, my mom's cancer was, uh, it wasn't, like, as serious as something like Alex Guinness, the guy from Jeopardy, has. Like, he's in stage 4. Like, all prayers go out to him. I throw all the energy at him because stage 4 is basically terminal. Like, nobody, not nobody, but like people don't usually survive that, and he's up there in age as well. So that's another factor that goes into it. But like, it, my mother's cancer wasn't on the scale, but it doesn't mean it like wasn't serious. So she still had to go through like chemo and everything like that. So at first, like, it was scary. It was a shock to the system when I first learned it, and then going through the entire process, like the first, I don't know, 6 months, like time really just, days blend into each other. Like, I don't even remember like how much time passed between like when when she first got diagnosed and then like when it started to like you start to see the effects. So like, I didn't want to say get bad. I didn't want to say get bad because like she's okay now, which I thank God that she is, because I don't know where I would be right now if my mom wasn't okay, or if she wasn't here. Like, I don't know how my mental state would be. But yeah, but relate coming from that back to like relating to my job and everything. So my anxiety, like, I was running on like all 10, 12 cylinders all day, every day. Anxiety was at the highest it's probably ever been in my entire life. And then especially the parts where like the effects started showing and things like that, like after a first round of chemo and everything. Just the fact that like I felt completely helpless because there's only really so much you can do. And like I said before, it's not like, oh, have a cold, let me bring you chicken noodle soup, and then, you know, you're going to be better in a day or two. Like even the times when you thought that, like, oh, it can't get worse than this, like, it does, and it will. But, like, thankfully, in the end, she's okay now. But, like, it's not easy to go through. Yeah, sorry, I had to take a second and get a sip of water. But yeah, for my job, yes, it wasn't the most fun thing in the world, but I'm very grateful that like both my retail job in my undergrad and my first job out of college, like my team members especially were freaking awesome. Like I'll talk about my first retail job in another episode, but this job, like, even though it was an office, like, the team really had fun. We had a pretty young team compared to like all the other teams, but yeah, like we all got along. Especially we didn't really have like cubicles. It was like it was a pod system, so it was 4 people in one. And then the people I was around were very cool and things like that. Oh, and yeah, one other thing that really like affected me at this time. There was a man, he came back to my job after a medical leave. So he actually had cancer as well. He went through treatment, and then he came back. He was working for a while, and then he started to get ill again. And then he actually went back to the doctor. The cancer actually came back, and he did unfortunately pass away. And this was all going at the same time that my mother was getting through like chemo and everything like that. She was actually in the hospital when that happened, and I went to his funeral, and then there was another thing, like on top of it. Like I knew, even the doctors were like, "Oh, your mom's gonna be okay. You know, she's getting through the thick of it and things like this." But seeing how someone else actually coming back, going back to work and everything, and then getting re-diagnosed and unfortunately passing away, that didn't really help. And like every day, like I sat next to him, and he was a great dude. Like I call him a dude. He was a great man. Like I only knew him for that short a period of time, But I still remember the first day. It was like a Thanksgiving potluck, and then like he made an amazing stuffing, and then he was just hilarious. He was sarcastic. He was in the Navy. He was just a cool dude, and like even though he was an older gentleman, and then it is a corporate job we're working, like it was fun working next to him. Like he was cracking jokes and all that. He loved talking about his kids, and stuff. Like it was unfortunate that he passed away, and like that didn't help my like anxiety and just kind of I say like it's just intense sadness. If you don't like the word depression, just intense sadness. Like every day, like I didn't really do much else when my mom was going through this besides helping her out, and then the times when she was in the hospital, go visit and things like that, and then like um, after that, like when she was there, and then she like didn't want really many visitors and things like that, or like times where we like couldn't visit. There were a couple of times where like she was her like her immune system was too weak for us to like go and visit and stuff like that. Like you physically like you don't know what to do, and that was the worst part for me. Not just like of course watching somebody go through the treatment and everything like that, it sucks, but like the worst part, especially for me, was not being able to help. And then in that aspect, I really like I did nothing besides just worry about my mom, go to work, and then like I'd have to force myself. Like I love going out with my friends and like hanging out, going to bars and clubs and dancing and everything like that. But like it was all everything just went into extremes. Like I threw myself into my job. Like I did 110%. Like it was amazing. Like I performed like a crazy person. And then like when I would go out with my friends, it wasn't like, oh, we'll just hit the corner bar, play darts or pool or whatever, grab a beer too. No, it was like we're gonna go hard, go like 5, 6, 7 drinks and stuff like that, and then just so I can like go to sleep and then wake up the next morning with a hangover and having to like deal with it all over again and like realize that this is happening. So that part I'm not proud of. It's really that whole like self-medication thing where it's just kind of drowning yourself in your problems and like really drinking your problems away basically. But yeah, I'll always be safe while drinking, kids, or anybody out there. Yeah, not kids. Kids don't drink. But yeah, always be safe in that aspect. Like I was always around friends. I never went out and drank by myself. Became like blackout drunk. Like no. But it was just a really like I had to force myself to have fun. Like I never allowed myself to sit down and just like deal with it. Like because every time I sat down and deal with like I had to do that. Like I had that moment. Like I would just break down. Like it was the worst feeling ever, because you physically like I can't do anything. Like I love helping people. I love being there when people need me, like just helping people, and without even asking for anything in return. It's just like somebody I didn't even know. Like it was my friend's friend. She like was moving in and then needed a favor, like and stuff. I was just like, yeah, sure, why not? Hopped in the car, went over and moved boxes and stuff for her, helped her move her in and stuff like that. Like there's something like that, and without wanting anything in return. It's just kind of like, oh, that's just something that Stefan does. Like I just help people, and like even if somebody needs like somebody to talk to or just like rant to, like you come to me and I just you just rant everything. I'm like the secret keeper of a bunch of my friends. But yeah, it's just I just love being helpful. Like I don't need anything in return. I just want to help as many people as possible. But yeah, moving on. Oh gosh, this is probably gonna be like my longest video in a while, and I don't know about editing this and everything. I might throw it up just as a video, just to kind of like not have to listen to myself talk about this and feel everything all over again, because I don't get emotional. But yeah, no, I'm probably like an emotional wreck now. Yeah, I tear up more so in movies now than I've ever had in my life. ran through all the gamut of emotions in the past couple of years, and it's all destroyed, and I'm just becoming my best self now. So, yay me. I made it through. That's why you're listening to this podcast, because I made it through. And I'm making jokes because I'm trying to find my place in my Word document. But, yeah, oh, okay. And then, last year, after my mom was good, I kind of, after running at 110% all the time at my job, I just I broke down. For the first time in my life, no, I actually think second time in my life, but first time in my adult life, I got the flu. That's when it was really bad. Like, people were actually dying from the flu, which sucked. And, like, my mom, it was adamant about me getting the flu shot. Like, she would take a comb and hit me when I told her I didn't get it today because I didn't feel like going. But, yeah. That's a black mom for you. I'm going to beat you until you're going to go get your flu shot because I care about you. But, yeah, I got the flu shot, and then that was, like, the first time I got the flu. But, yeah, like I said before, I'm a Roman Catholic. I'm not the most religious person I've ever met. Like, I have my religious battles and stuff, like, I don't know, everybody out there, or certain people out there who are religious, things like that. But, after that happened, I was, like, burnt out, and I was completely lost. I was back at square one, but, like, a year and a half, 2 years later, I don't even remember how long it took, but years later, it was more than months, it was years later, back at square one, realizing what I wanted to do with my life. And so, yeah, I was insanely scared about what I wanted to do. I had nothing. My friends were graduating. They graduated or were graduating with their masters, and like me, I didn't even start. So I was lost in that aspect, and then, yeah, I just kind of let go and let God decide. That's something I don't really talk about much. I don't really like tell my friends about and anything like that. Basically, like everything in this entire podcast or this episode of the podcast so far. Yeah. Oh yeah. Side note. My friends didn't even learn that my mom was going through chemo, like had cancer, until like a year into it. So that's a whole nother can of emotions and stress and stuff I had to deal with in that aspect. But yeah, I just let go and let God decide. I was praying about it every night, just saying, what am I here to do? Like, what am I doing? Where am I gonna go? Like, what's my fate? Like, there's an argument, do we have free will or is everything a plan? Like, do you have a plan for me? Am I just effing all this up and just gonna go down in flames and just is my life just gonna be over at this point, or is there something that you have for me? So yeah, I went to Spain last year, and then like I was finishing up my application. I just said, you know what, let me go back to school, let me go back to my alma mater, like, just, yeah, there's a proper term, my alma mater. But yeah, let me go back to school. Let me see what they decide. If admissions is gonna let me in, just take more of my money. But yeah. So I was finishing up my application, and then I had a trip to Spain. So I finished the application like the day before I went. And so went to Spain with my friend, just kind of let go of everything that was happening at the moment, and like having fun. And then like 2 days after I got back, and like even on the way back, I was kind of just like, you know what, just enjoy this 8-hour flight, even though you didn't download the app to watch movies, so you have to figure out what you're gonna do for that amount of time. And like, it was an overnight, but we'd landed during the day here, and so yeah, it was stupid long. But yeah, and then land and then deal with it tomorrow. And so like the next day or 2 days after, I got the call or email from my school, and they said, "Hey, congratulations, you're in." So I was ecstatic, and at that point, like, I realized, you know what? I'm not in complete control, and I'm not going to fret it. And whatever is happening recently in my life at that point, I'm literally just gonna let go, let God decide. And I'm still doing that to this day. More so leaning on His guidance than like me just trying to figure everything out like I usually do, because look at where it's got me from there. But yeah, yeah, even with, I have notes here. Still finding my way, my struggle with the emptiness, keeping faith when it was hard. Just really deep statements and all that. But yeah, just keeping the faith when it was hard was probably the hardest part, because not knowing what is gonna happen or not knowing what's happening is the worst part. The same thing like what was happening with my mom, not being able to like control it. Wow, that makes me sound like a control freak. But yeah, I guess I am kind of a control freak. But I like being able to affect the outcome, really. So, yeah, that was my journey until like last year. Oh, wow, oh gosh, that was like 2 years. And then I wanted to make this video, or not video, I wanted to make this podcast about the last year, really. But, yeah, pretty short after that, after I got in the MBA program, yeah, I got a temporary summer job, and then that was fun. It was ridiculous hours, but it was like fun. And then I got out of the house, and then, like it was like 6 weeks during the summer, or something like that. 2, 4, 6. Yeah, it was like 6 weeks during the summer. Everything. I'd wake up and go at 6, and then like drive. Most of the time it was in Long Island, which was crazy. But drive to Long Island, like drive a budget truck or like a U-Haul truck and things like that. And then go pick up bags for kids that were going to sleepaway camp. So running ridiculous hours for the job. It was hot. I was sweating everywhere. At that point I cut off like all my hair. I was rocking like the summer number 2 or number 1. If you're a barber, just really short and not caring. Because just wake up, get sweaty, ridiculous, work hard all day. Like, I got fat and buff at the same time, which is weird. Also from depression eating or sad eating, and then like lifting. I don't know what these kids had like bricks in their bags. Like, one could be like 15 pounds, and that was the kid who didn't care, who was gonna wear the same pair of clothes like every day all summer. And then you get to like another kid, and that thing weighs like 120 pounds. Like, it weighs more than them. It was ridiculous, but it was also fun. Met a bunch of cool people. Learned how to really drive like a truck. And then, yeah, we went to like Pennsylvania. I drove like one of those trucks for like 4 or 5 hours. Not comfortable. My knees were killing me all summer, but that was an experience. And then yeah, I started my MBA program last September, and yeah, I love it. Our MBA program, I don't know if it's the same all over. I really just applied to the school I got my undergrad at because they were awesome and I liked it, and then it's probably my best chance of getting back in and getting my MBA in general. But and they also have an amazing program. But yeah, they put you in cohorts, which are just groups. Pause for a water break. But yeah, they put you in groups called cohorts, and you just follow each other. Like how you had the same people in your undergrad class when you declared your major. It's basically that. You all just take all the same classes together. And then I remember from orientation, they said, don't just turn around and look at everybody around you in your first class and then decide that's going to be your group to do group work. And of course, that's exactly what I did. And it actually turned out very well. Like, I love my cohort. I love my group that I'm in. Like, we have a group chat. Like, normally I don't like group work, especially in college, because everybody like didn't care. And then you'd have the one like frat kid who was like who's drinking all day. He probably came to class either drunk or hungover. The random person who was just there in like, not even sweatpants, they were in there in like pajamas, who's just like, oh, I'm just here, my dad's a lawyer, he's just gonna give me a job at his office or whatever. And then you had like a couple of kids that actually cared about getting a decent grade. So I like doing everything myself. But yeah, my cohort, like, we're all here and we're all like adults, like proper adults at this point. 18-year-old, certain 18-year-olds are adults. Most aren't. I know for sure. Like hell, I was an actual adult at 18. But yeah, cohort actually cares. We are here, and then like we're putting in the work. Like everybody does their part. Even when we don't know something, like one of us doesn't know something, we have a group chat and we all talk about it, and like we all study together and everything like that. We actually hang out outside of school, which is weird. I don't hear many other people in our cohort doing that. But yeah, it's freaking awesome. And yeah, I had that for the fall. It's a different structure. Like you only go, it's not like school where you go like 4 or 5 days a week. Like it's 2 days a week, and it's at night, so everybody's tired. But yeah, going through that, and then like having a nice cohort changes everything. And like we're all like friends, and I wouldn't trade my cohort for anybody else. Yeah, so hats off to them. They're all cool. So yeah, if my cohort's listening, or my group is listening to this podcast, props go out to you guys. You guys are awesome. You're making my college experience a lot better, or MBA experience a lot better. So yeah. And my last point was getting into the MBA program, where I feel about it. Oh wow, I just went over that and I don't remember reading that, or yeah, I didn't read it right now. Like the last bullet point. I'm staring at my Word document, okay, peoples, and this is already like, it's 42 minutes and 5 seconds long. This is a really long podcast. I didn't want to have like an hour-long podcast, but yeah, I might just keep this raw, throw it on. Well, now it's on my YouTube channel because I'm not in a podcast network, because it's like $15 a month and everything like that, and I really want to generate an audience before I do that, or get some sponsors and yada 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 yada. The audio on this, I feel like the audio on this is not bad, but I saw it spike in a couple places. I'm actually like a little bit away from the mic, more so than I was before, just to make sure you don't get like a loud hissing sound, or like roll my S's or P's or anything like that, or all that stuff. So it doesn't annoy your ears. So, wow, I've been talking for a very long time. Yeah, you know when you just start talking and then you just like blank out and you just blah 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 blah, aka ranting. Hello, just a ramblings podcast. Come on, just rambling, ranting. Are rambling and ranting synonyms? Yeah, I think there are. Where's my thesaurus? I don't know. Let's see. I have a word here. Oh, no, I didn't even put it on this one. I put it on my, whatever. Yeah, okay, now I'm just rambling. But, yeah, that's what I want to talk about. Oh, wow, I still have more. Oh, yeah. I'm going to end it off on a super, super happy note. Or it's also super happy that, my cohort is awesome. But yeah, being unemployed or self-employed photographer, yay, and getting like no gigs, basically. But really like living off my savings and yada yada. Not as much fun as you think. You think going to work every single day is boring and everything like that. But sitting at home, just kind of watching YouTube and learning random skills that you might never use in your life, and kind of looking up jobs and figuring out your career move and stuff like that. Like, yeah, it sounds like a lot. It's really not. There's 24 hours in a day. That takes like 3 hours a day, because you got to like spread it out through all the weeks. So besides doing like schoolwork, which could take anywhere from 5 hours to half an hour, depending on how efficient you are, or how much work you actually have, and then dealing with everything else is actually very, 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 very boring. Like, you would think it's fun just being able to wake up whatever time you want and then do all that. Yeah, no. My sleep schedule, Gosh, I need more water, but whatever. My sleep schedule is all effed up. Shout out CBD pills, or CBD gummies rather. Take that to fall asleep. And they're actually really good. Help with anxiety. Not just a promotion for this, like, just take CBD oil and stuff like that. Like, it has its properties. It's another thing about self-medicating instead of just drinking and passing out, or like going to like raves and clubs to dance and expend all your energy just so you can go to sleep. Like, don't really do that anymore. I just try to go to sleep normally, and if I can't, I have CBD gummies. Yeah, so they're interesting. Take that. It has melanin, or no, not melanin. Melanin's in your skin. It has melatonin in it, so it helps you fall asleep. So, yeah, every once in a while, take those, pass out, sleep like a rock. Like, I got to change my bed sheets, my pillow sheet, or whatever. If you take that, make sure it's, like, right before you're about to, like, change your bed sheets in general, because I, like, hit the pillow, and then sleep like a rock, sleep like a baby, whatever you want to call it. Wake up in the morning, it's like a puddle of drool inside. It's TMI, total TMI, but whatever. This is my podcast, so, yeah. And then my plan for the future, I'm going in and I'm trying to get, when I graduate, into a marketing firm. Or, if anybody at Adidas is hearing this, work for Adidas, part of their marketing team. Because now I just got a call back I just got hired, rather, by Adidas. So, I'm a sales associate at a store. So, start off small, you gotta start somewhere. But nice introduction to the company. Work hard, bust my ass, get good sales numbers. I'm already familiar with the product. I have a crap ton of their product in my room. So, yeah, start off there, work my way up, work hard. Everybody likes handouts. I don't. I like getting free stuff. I like getting handouts and stuff. It's nice. It's cool. Like my first job after college, I got through my dad, which was awesome. And that was very, very thankful because it afforded me to buy a lot of sneakers. But yeah, making my own way and making my future, I feel more confident and comfortable now, knowing that I'm going after what I really want to do for the rest of my life and kind of have a focus now. So yeah, thank you for listening to this insanely long podcast. I hope y'all come back. It's going to be a lot more lighthearted because I have to finish my musical journey part 2. But then we're going to talk about something fun. You know what? Oh, yeah, and for my job, I have yet to start my first day. But, like, just got hired. You have to do a ton of paperwork and all that. So, yeah, awesome. Can't wait to start. Can't wait to tell people how much Adidas is freaking awesome and how much they need a pair of Ultra Boost or any Boost sneaker in their life. We can have an entire discussion on that, and I'm not just going to say it just because I'm trying to sell you a pair of Ultra Boost, just because, like, I know there's Nike heads out there, but, try on a pair of Ultra Boost. And there's some people who, wear both Adidas and Nike and Under Armour and everybody else, but try on a pair of Ultra Boost. It may change your life. Most people it has. It's the most comfortable shoe I've ever put on in my foot in my entire life. So, yeah. And I have the most sneakers I've ever had in my life now. I was not a collector until, I had, 12 shoes in 2011, and that was the most I've ever thought I would ever have in my life, because every year before that, I had one pair of shoes a year. But, yeah, now I'm rambling, going to a completely different topic, but, yeah. Those of you listening, let me know what you want to hear about next. Wow, that spiked really high, and I'm super sorry. I just hit my hand on my knee, and the mic caught that. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. I'm not going to add time markers on this because I really just want to throw it up and have you guys just listen to it. It is an hour long, or is about to be 50 minutes long. I'm sorry for that. Rest of the podcasts are not going to be that long unless it's going to be a serious topic like this that I want to talk about. And then I just want to kind of get out there and get done because it is a very deep and emotional thing. Talking about it, I actually had to take a moment. I thought I might have to, but then I was like, you know what, power through and just get it out. But yeah, no, I did have to take a moment. But yeah, thank you for listening. I will see you guys next time with. Wow, I sound like my nose is super clogged. Maybe that's just from talking a crap ton. But alright, so yeah, just had another coughing fit. But yeah, see you guys next time. We're gonna be talking about the second part of my music journey, and then after that, I'm gonna do a sneakers episode, talk about me and collecting sneakers and why I started and blah blah blah. So I will see you guys next time. Thanks for listening. This has been the Just the Ramblings podcast, and I guess my outro would be like something like "See you later, fam," or "Peace out, everybody." But all right, yeah, peace out, everybody. I guess that is. So yeah, see you next time. Have a good one. Peace out, everybody.